Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Cacao Chat. I am joined by guest expert Emma Smallbone today, and we are in for a huge treat because she is going to be talking to us all about creating rituals without rules so we can create daily habits and monthly and all these different types of rituals that actually feel really good to us so that we're inspired to actually do this and move ourselves forward. So first off, welcome, Emma. Thank you for joining us here inside of the Sacred She Sisterhood. We're so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. Since day one, since I started shifting my career in a different direction, this has really been my passion, is the ritual piece, because it's what brought me my sanity. It's what brought me, my story is I came from a place of high anxiety, high depression, overwhelm, just not really knowing what to do with all this energy that was inside of me. And through ritual and sitting with spirit, because I am a seer, so I connect with spirit on a daily basis, I have been able to ground myself and give clarity to my life that I can't even have fathomed at another point.
Amazing. I'm just so excited for this. I've been looking forward to it for so long. I'd love to hear a little bit more before we jump into today's topic, just about you and what do you do now? We know that you're a seer. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where you're based and all that fun stuff?
Sure. So I'm in Ontario, Canada, just outside of Guelph. We live out in the country. It was one of the main keys to me kind of shifting my life, because I was born in the country, and then when I moved back to the country after living in the city for so long, I was able to find my peace. So when I found my peace, I started connecting. I mean, we all know that there's this moon in the sky that connects with us all intrinsically, right? It's within us, especially as women. We are connected to that cycle. So I just started paying attention. And the more that I tapped into my seer side, the one that connects with spirit and brings through messages of, the highest and greatest purpose from either your loved one or the collective consciousness, I started to realize that the more that you saw the cycle of life, the more that you saw the ritual in the everyday, the easier it was to ground myself, and the easier it was for me to connect with something bigger than myself. So the ritual, this ritual without rules piece has really come from the piece of ritual should not be complicated. Ritual should just be like breathing. And that's truly where I found my home, where it just is a piece of my life. So I do all sorts of things. I also run a metaphysical shop. So behind me is a portion of my shop here at my office, but I have another retail location in my home. And I really, that things are what I want to put into everybody's hands, not just people that consider themselves Wiccans, not just people that consider themselves, spiritual. Everybody needs to bring this practice into their life so they can feel more connected to the outside world.
I love the way you explain that because it's so true. It's more than just a book or a product. It's about the actual knowledge coming in. It doesn't really matter how you identify yourself. If you consider yourself of a certain religion or a certain point on your spiritual journey, but it's just bringing that information to common knowledge, because before religion and before all of these times, these were things that the ancients knew about. These were things that they lived. It was like meditating and just breathing to them because it was part of their everyday practice and it wasn't like a chore. And I think a lot of the women in our community, when they hear the word ritual and like routine, and it sounds just kind of like boring and dull and like, oh, like I'm a busy mom, or, I'm a human, they are entrepreneurs. And it's like, well, all these rituals feel like homework and they feel like just extra shit that goes on in their day, rather than creating more space and actually empowering them to be more connected, which I just think is so cool that you are so in it with rituals.
Well, the key, and I'm teaching this 21-day course, which is free for everybody. And the key, and the very first day that I talked about this, was where is ritual in your life already? Where are you creating a daily ritual that has nothing to do with spirituality, that has nothing to do with connecting to something greater than yourself? Take that ritual that you already use and integrate some of the woo. right? Integrate some of that magic into it in a very easy way. Like while you're brushing your teeth, can you be like lighting a candle, or can you be like saying some gratitude stuff in your head? Because then you're not adding it to your life. It's not overcomplicating your life. You're just like integrating it. It just is a part of you. And that truly is the key to any daily practice, or any, and it doesn't even have to be daily. I think this is the thing where people get overwhelmed, that, oh, I have to wake up every day and I have to meditate for 20 minutes. Oh, and then I have to write in my gratitude journal, and then I have to do this and that. No, throw everything out that you think about ritual or creating a daily routine, and start over from the basics, because you're setting yourself up to fail if you consider it that way. And if you can just integrate some things into the life that you already have, like before we got on, I just lit some incense. This was my way of clearing my energy, clearing my space, allowing me to take that moment. And it's only a second that you light a match, but that is, you're taking a breath. It's one breath. And sometimes that's all you need to create a ritual in your life.
I've never ever thought of it that way. That is just so beyond wise, and just makes total sense. Like it doesn't have to be this crazy thing. And when you say rituals without rules, like what else do you mean by that? I'd love to hear.
So the other way that we set ourselves up to fail with ritual is that we think we have to follow somebody else's. We think we have to find a book, we have to find a website, and we have to do everything that they say, or else we're not doing it right. And my whole piece about ritual without rules is, I use the word woo a lot. My company is called the Woo Shop. I'm the mistress of woo. Woo to me is all of it, bringing it all together and just picking the pieces that work for you. Because that's the thing about spirituality. Spirituality is not a religion. Spirituality is a way of life. It's me. I'm spirituality. I am the core of my own spirituality. I get to, and I say it's like this, choose your own adventure kind of, creating your own religion, because we say ritual without rules. Over this 21 days, I teach about, here's all the things that you could bring into your practice. Now, which ones resonate for you? And don't be afraid to cast aside the things that, like, if meditation does not work for you, which I know it does not work for a lot of people, remove that piece. Don't meditate. What you can do instead is go for a walk. You could do some deep breathing. You could do some chanting. You could, do some coloring. Whatever it is that works for you, choose to do that piece, because that way you're going to succeed. And really, that's all we want in life, is to, feel like we're raising our vibration instead of like, oh, I didn't do it right.
Yeah, and so many people are always just feeling like they're failing. And I'm really glad that you touched on the fact, number one, that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So we are spiritual. And I think that is so key. And also just realizing that, yeah, we can't really go wrong with these rituals. And there are so many people, myself included, that often it doesn't vibe with me a lot of the time to meditate. So for me, I can meditate by going for a nature walk. I can meditate by journaling it out. Like a lot of times people think that they're doing it wrong if they're not like sitting on a little pillow for 30 minutes getting all these downloads, because sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do meditate and it's short little bursts, but often it's a guided meditation. Often it's yoga. Often it's going for a walk in nature. And then I get way more downloads and I'm able to connect with myself. So I think it's kind of like what you're saying, of just bringing that back to how can you connect with yourself and like you do you, rather than just be so wrapped up with what your friend has done or how they meditate and thinking like, oh crap, now I'm doing it wrong.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. We need to focus on ourselves. The most important piece in all of this is we have the power, right? It's so funny because I usually wear a key around my neck. It's always on, and I'm like, oh no, now I feel naked without it. But I wear this key because it reminds me that I am the key. I am the key to my failure. I am the key to my success. I am the only one. So that comes into everything. That comes into your happiness. That comes into the ritual piece. If you're not on board, if you're not feeling it, it's not going to work out. So then cast aside those pieces, right? Cast aside whatever doesn't resonate for you and take on what does. And in no way, shape, or form should you ever force yourself to take on somebody else's dogma, even if it's working for them. Because here's the thing, it works for them because it's theirs. That's the whole piece. And I say that to people, because some of my sessions are like business mentoring sessions, and I say that to people's businesses all the time. Like, if it doesn't make sense for you in your business, do not do it, because it's just a waste of your energy. It's the same with ritual. If you're doing a piece of a ritual that makes no sense for you, that's, you're spending some good energy on something that doesn't make sense and that won't bring you back what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think so. As well as like that mindset is the biggest thing, as well as just listening to ourselves, like getting into alignment with ourselves. Because I know a couple of years back in my business, I was more focused on what other people were doing than what I was doing with my business. So number one, you're setting yourself up for major comparison and judgment, major feelings of failure. And I wasn't having fun. And I think having fun is so important. Like that whole, it has to feel good for you, and just like drop the rules. And whether that's somebody and their network marketing and they're thinking that they have to do it, just like their upline, they think if they're starting a regular, whatever kind of business, coaching, whatever, that they have to do it and model it just like this person. Whereas I've started to realize, and I've done a lot more coaching in that area, that you can gain inspiration from other people. There's definitely some value in knowing what other people are doing, so you kind of know what's out there. But a lot of people almost obsess about it to the point where they don't even allow themselves to do that meditation or to do that journaling and actually ask themselves at a deeper level, like what feels good. And then they're like, why isn't it working? And they're not actually figuring out what's going to work for them.
Well, exactly. And it's so funny because my whole entire life, Spirit has showed up and said, like, you need to be doing this. And I'm like, but I can't do that because society won't accept me. Like, I wrote a book 4 years ago, and in the beginning of the book, I wrote, oh, I wish I had it with me, something about I'm not one of those witchy woo-woo women. And now I look back and it was honestly me just like saying, like, don't think I'm crazy. Don't
Totally.
think I'm crazy, right? And now I'm just like, I am the witchiest of woo women ever. And I always have been. I've always been into that. But I allowed other people's beliefs and other people's position on what it was that was inside of me to decide what I was going to do. And, my career at the time, like, it ended up being a best-selling book. Yeah, I had great success with it, but not where I wanted to be. And then when I fully embraced that woo and started calling myself the mistress of woo and started, saying like, this is what I do. It might be a little bit crazy for you, but it's totally my thing. That's where everything exploded. That's when and now last Friday, I was sitting at my office mixing up some like essential oil blends and putting crystals in them and casting like spells on them. And I'm just like, as if this is my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll have to hear more about your book on a future one. I'm going to have to chat with you and find out what you're doing with that. Maybe get you in for the book club if you're still spreading the message of your book.
Oh, and it's funny because it has shifted and changed a little bit, but still the core pieces are there. I talk about, how I went from being a photographer for 23 years to becoming a medium and connecting and finding my way in that world, and how, I believe that when we connect with spirit, they show us the ultimate truth. They give us the messages that we need, not necessarily the ones we want to hear. And Spirit was constantly giving me this message, like, step into your power, kiddo, like, step in. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. But when I finally embraced it, my world shifted and changed. Depression lifted, anxiety be gone, and it's all because when I started to connect with Spirit, I started a ritual. And really, that is the core of it, because to connect with Spirit, you have to, be quiet. You need to quiet your mind so you can hear Spirit. You have to focus on your breath and pay attention to what is yours and what is spirit's. And the deeper I went into that ritual piece, the easier it was for me to make my connection to spirit and the collective consciousness. And then I did receive those downloads, and they do show me things every day. And, you know, for me now, because ritual is just a part of my life, which I want everybody to see how powerful it can be so that they can truly step into who they are, then life just became easy.
I love it. Super aligned.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
You don't have to make decisions anymore because spirit just shows up and goes, hey, do this. And I'm like, okay.
yeah, you're just basically following and being guided, and it's in a way that feels really good. So for the women that are watching, and you know, there's quite a mix of women within the Sacred She Sisterhood. Some of them are super woo and they're super in it, and there's some women who are probably listening and they're like, what the hell is woo and spirituality and all of this.
For
So for
sure.
somebody who's like super on that kind of beginning stage of opening themselves up to all of this sort of stuff, and they've never done ritual, they've never really done anything woo, like what would your suggestion be for like the first starting point of how they can kind of start creating this ritual and figuring out and actually tapping in to listen to what would feel good for them?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's all about intention. What do you want from a daily practice or a ritual? Are you looking to raise your vibration? Are you looking to ground yourself in who you are? Start thinking about what you would want to receive when you're in that space. And I own a metaphysical shop, but I tell people all the time, you do not need one of these abalone shells. You do not need candles. You do not need anything. And people are like, you're the worst salesperson ever. And I go, yeah, pretty much. I'm not great because yeah, authentic, right? But I show people all the time, you can start with a tea light. I thought you can start with a tea light. A tea light is a great surface for even scratching into it. If you want to bring love into your life, write the word love and then light the candle with that intention that you're bringing love into your life. And you could do that every morning. You could do that once a week. You could do it on the new moon that we're actually today, we're still in the energy of the new moon. So if you just need to say is, I would like more love in my life, and say it with intention and believe it. And we're using that energy to bring it towards us. And even as I said that, I felt all the
yeah, I just got goosebumps.
you get goosebumps, right? And
yeah.
that's, we don't all get goosebumps, but some of us will. Some of us won't feel energy right away. But it's about creating that practice. And I say to people, if you're not an everyday person, then don't do it every day. My main ritual that I do is once a week. It's on a Monday. I pull 10 cards for myself to give me an idea of what my week is going to look like and what I'm going to deal with and what I should be focusing on. I journal a little bit. I light some candles. I really bring all of the aspects of it that I love into it. But there's other people that just have a deck of, oracle cards. Like I love these ones from the Darling Tree. And
Yes,
what
they're
you do,
cool.
yeah, the Inner Star Oracle, you can just pull a card. That can be your ritual. Find your calm. So today, and I know that I need to find my calm today because the energy is crazy. So,
yeah.
so that's what I focus on. So then all day, if I have a moment where my energy is off, I just repeat that phrase, find your calm. It recenters you. That is a ritual.
Yeah.
A ritual. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't overcomplicate what it has to look like.
Yeah. And it can be one thing. And you can do your ritual throughout the day. If you don't have the time in the morning to do all the things you want to do, then do pieces of it. If you have a moment to sit down and think about, I want $1,000 in my bank account as opposed to $500 in my bank account, and ask, Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, to come in and help you with that. You can do that in a moment where you have time to spare. you don't have to cast a circle. You don't have to call in the gods. You don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be this big giant thing. You can leave that for big ceremonies. Like I was telling you earlier, the energy shifted at the end of April when Beltane shifted, and we had a massive energetic shift. And my groups, my woo mates, all came together on my property, and we did this massive ceremony that was like an hour and a half long, because I love that, right? I love that piece, and I love bringing community together. But it doesn't have to be like that every day.
I think that's so true, and it just totally speaks to me as well, because I've definitely been guilty of the past of wronging myself and trying to put it in a box in these little rules where I'm like, oh, I haven't been journaling enough, or I haven't been meditating enough. But when I look at it in contrast, I'm like, yeah, but I was getting out into nature more. And it is, you can make these rituals work. I actually keep my favorite deck of cards in my car, and every morning my fiance and I go for an animal drive to go see and just watch the sun come up, and that's when I pull cards for us for that day. And that's what works for us. And when we wake up in the morning, we say our 3 gratitudes. Like I do a lot more things throughout the day rather than, you know, what works for my fiance is like 30 minutes every evening. He lays on his yoga mat and goes through a full like breath mode meditation, like visualization, but I can't sit through that. Like I get bored. I'm like, no, I'm going to go do other stuff. And like me, it's like throughout my day. So if women are watching, like go with what feels good for you, I think is the biggest theme of this.
Oh, definitely. And don't feel like you're failing if you forget a day or miss a day. And it was kind of funny because I started my 21 days, and my husband, I love him, but he's not wooey, and he doesn't really pay attention to what's going on in my life. I love him to death, but he surprised me, which is fantastic, with a trip away for 2 days. And those 2 days, he's like, you can't touch your phone. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of this like course. But I was just honest with my group, and I said, hey, this is what's happening. I do need a break. My husband obviously sees that I need that. So I'm going to take these 2 days off. And when I come back, I'll finish the 21 days. And everybody was awesome. And then it provoked this conversation about what happens when you don't do your ritual. And it's this piece of just get back on the horse. There's no right or wrong way to do this. If you do it for 10 days in a row and then you need a break, then take a break. The gods aren't going to punish you because you've decided not to do your ritual that day. And if you only do it once a month, that's totally awesome too. Yeah. The judgment comes from inside. So quit judging ourselves, right?
Yeah, we're always writing the story of the future of, oh, now we wronged ourselves because of this or such and such. And one thing, even though it's not completely connected to our topic today, I would love to just ask you a quick question and pick your brain for those watching. You said about how your husband isn't really woo, doesn't really get it, doesn't really know what you're up to. And I know there's a lot of women that can relate to that, where their partner's supportive, maybe some of them aren't, but their husbands or partners don't get it, or people in their life don't get it. So if somebody's looking to add these rituals and they have people in their house who maybe don't get it, do you have any tips on how to really just feel confident that, hey, you are going to make that part of your ritual?
Yeah. Here's the piece. Nobody has to get it but you. If it lights you up, if it feels good for you, just do it. And if your partner is like, why are you like sitting in the corner lighting candles and talking to the gods? Just go, because it makes me feel good. This is the piece about truly stepping into our energy when it comes to anything that's in the woo. Once you start claiming it and once you start remembering it, because it truly is a remembering. We have all done this at some point in some lifetime. Ritual is a part of our lives because we get up in the morning, you yawn, you stretch your arms, you get dressed, you brush your teeth. That is ritual. It is inside you to do ritual. But once you remember that and allow it to be part of your daily life, those worries, those concerns that we're going to be judged by our partner, like my husband thinks I'm absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And today, actually yesterday, I had a new form of healing activated, and I wasn't even thinking about doing it. It just happened. And it's like speaking in tongue crazy stuff. Like it's It's called light language. But I said to my husband today, I said, I feel like this is where I've always belonged. I feel like this was always inside of me, and I feel like I've been doing this my entire life. It doesn't feel like something that is out of place. So give yourself the opportunity to just do it and see how it feels. And if you truly believe in it, your partner will rise up or your family will rise up. And people say to me all the time, well, I'm from the Bible Belt, or I'm from a place where people don't accept this. There are ways to bring ritual into your life that are so not visible. You don't have to have an altar. You don't have to have a deck of cards. You don't have to do any of that. You can just hold your hands at all your chakras, right? And that becomes ritual. And when we do that, you can do that in the shower. You can do that in the bedroom when you're changing. You can even say silent prayers to yourself if you're really worried about, because I know in some places it is a safety thing and they're worried what other people are going to say to them. That's why making your own ritual yours is so very important, because it has to work for you. And just because you're stepping into the woo does not mean that anybody around you has to accept it. They don't need to accept it. My husband, God love him, we've been together 18 years. And in those 18 years, he's always like, oh my God. And I have a metaphysical shop in my house. My son does ceremonies with me. Like, I had 45 people show up at my house and do a full moon ceremony. And he goes, you're weird. And I'm like, yeah, but I love it.
Yeah, and then he sees that. I think that's the thing, is that for most of the time, our partners, if they see that we're happy, it makes them happy. They don't have to get it in order to support it. And I think sometimes as women start to kind of awaken and they start to hear these callings, and some of the men are hearing these as well, but women are, for the most part, from what I've seen, are kind of rising quicker, and it's happening faster. And women aren't necessarily giving men that time to catch up. And I think that's the best thing, is rather than telling the men what they have to do or that they have to get it, if you just show up for you and be unapologetic about it and really just create these, like you said, they don't have to be massive, little rituals and things where you are just owning the fact that this is what makes you happy. Most of the time, number one, your man or partner will support you. And number two, you're kind of like dripping on them. So even if they don't ever get to where you're at, they just start to see that, hey, this makes my partner happy. And this ritual is, they start to see how it benefits them, because, oh, well, you're happier. Well, that benefits your relationship with them. So rather than wronging yourself or wronging your partner, because I do see a lot of that for not having the same ritual or getting your ritual, just understand, like, you guys are two different people. You don't have to, if you wanted a replica of yourself, then you wouldn't be in that relationship.
Exactly. My husband gave me the best gift ever 2 Christmases ago. He stood at the counter, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but he kind of had one of those like, oh God, Emma moments. And he said to me, he's like, Emma, I know one day the mothership is going to come down and it's going to take you wherever it's going. You're going to have the biggest smile on your face, and that makes me happy. So keep doing you're doing. And that's all I needed. That was, and I think up until that very point, I had struggled with, why can't he understand? Why can't he get what I'm doing? But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to at all. And I really think, it's like anything. My husband, even when I was a photographer, I didn't want him to understand photography. I didn't need him to show up and shoot right beside me. I didn't need him to be a part of that. So why does he have to be a part of my spiritual life? It doesn't have to be that way.
I'm really glad that you broke it down like that too. And as you were saying that, I was thinking too, to point out that even if you don't have a significant other, in the future, then like, you don't have to project that onto them. And this also applies to children, friends, like, everybody is allowed to make that own decision, just like how right now you are getting to make your own decision about your rituals and, start remembering and really figuring out what is going to feel best for you. And everyone here is on their own journey. So what feels good for you, it comes back to that. We don't have to copy other people. We don't have to duplicate. It's about going inward. And I've seen that there's been some comments popping up. I'm just going to take a quick look. I think there was a couple questions. So we've got, I like what you said about not judging yourself and not letting your partner or anyone else who doesn't understand you judge you because it isn't their ritual. It's not for them and it is for you. This is just what I needed right now. Thank you. You from me and Emma. I agree. I'm the same way, and it's true. There's no one way to do a routine. Everything in our lives we create for ourselves. So, of course, if we create a routine that works for us, then that's the right routine. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is how you create the right routine. And I'm looking to create a more positive and energetic energy within myself. So I feel like, yeah, that would be where, you know, like how you were kind of talking about creating your own affirmation or creating, you know, you pull the card and that's your reminder for the day.
Oh, we froze there.
That feels authentic. Oh,
am I frozen or are you frozen?
I hear and see you. Do you hear or see me? We'll wait a second for Emma to come back. I'm not sure. Oh, she's going to come back. So while Emma joins us, oh, she's back. Are you back, Emma?
Yeah, I'm back. Hey, I've been here the whole time. Hey.
We're all good. So yeah, no, I was just going to say that with these rituals, and you were kind of talking about maybe making like your own affirmation, and that can be a ritual, or pulling that card and that message can be your daily reminder. And I think that's so key of just realizing like it has to feel good to you. I'm definitely somebody who has done a lot of in the past of like finding on Pinterest and shit, like a couple of years ago where I'd pull like a list of affirmations and I'd stand in the bathroom and like read off all these affirmations, but I didn't believe any of them. So it was just like that total waste of time. And it also gave me a bigger disconnect on ritual and it didn't seem fun. Whereas if you create one that feels good to you or you find one that feels good to you, you can believe in. Like when I was personal training at the gym, I would always tell my clients, like, you can't be thin with fat thoughts. And, you know, you can't, whatever it is that you want to achieve, you can't be saying one thing or telling yourself one thing while your brain and your subconscious is totally disagreeing with that. So find little things, like if like Emma's saying, if big stuff is overwhelming or isn't calling to you right now, like what kind of daily or weekly or monthly kinds of activities and things can you do that are going to empower you and feel good? And then stop wronging yourself in the process if you miss a day.
Exactly. Well, and I started with moon ceremonies because it was very easily accessible. Ritual has become a lot more accessible, but if you want to start somewhere, because we are women, we're already connecting with the moon. Our cycle, even if you're, you know, on a prescription medication that controls your cycle is still connected to that moon. So, you know, we feel this pull and this waxing and this waning of our energy. So if you just start tuning into that piece, it's the easiest way to make that energetic connection in the first place. Because at the full moon, you're going to feel inspired and creative. And, you know, some people get lots of energy, some people get tired, or you can't sleep at the full moon. And then during the new moon, we tend to go inward. We tend to like figure out what do we want in our lives. We tend to be more tired, but everybody cycles differently. And if you can start to pay attention to those things, even just like, hey, is there a full moon or is there a new moon? How am I feeling? That's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be a ritual. It just has to be that, where am I physically?
Just awareness.
Yeah.
I think awareness in itself is almost ritual of just.
Oh, totally is.
Definitely.
Totally. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, there was one other question I saw pop up, and Jackie says, I've been trying to do Palo Santo as a daily ritual to release negative energy, but I'm having a hard time feeling comfortable and authentic because I don't think I understand how it fully works. Are you able to touch on that?
Sure. Here's the key to that. You don't need to know how it works. You don't, and this is the thing about spirituality. We all get caught up in the mindset of it. We get caught up in is it the left brain way of thinking? We have to know how this clears. Like, we have to know, if I do this, what is the smoke doing to me? You don't stop thinking.
Stop thinking. Start doing.
Yeah, stop judging yourself. You don't need to know. You just have to allow that energy to wash over you, or that smoke to wash over you, with the intention that you're cleansing yourself and you're bringing in new energy, and then see how it feels. There is no thinking when it comes to spirituality. Once you start thinking, that's where the mayhem comes into it all. You know, it was like when I first started tuning into spirit, I am a scientific person. I like proof and I like to know how things work. And when
Same.
I was taking workshops, I kept looking. I'm like, I'll do another workshop and maybe this time I will figure out exactly how this works. And then I'd go to that workshop and I'd be like, oh, well, that was disappointing. And then I'd go to the next workshop and I'd do another one. Maybe this time this person has all the answers. The answers are inside you. How does it work for you? How does it feel when if you let go of all thoughts of what Palo Santo is, what the smoke is, anything, just totally be in that moment when you light the smoke and visualize that smoke washing over you and releasing anything that is negative, anything that you no longer need to hold on to. How does that feel to you?
Boom.
Boom. That is ritual.
Yeah, you said it perfect, Emma. Like I've never heard somebody explain ritual in such an easy to
Oh.
understand way that I think everybody watching in some way or another can integrate a little bit more ritual into their life and stop beating themselves up about doing it wrong. So I really just appreciate that because it's such a needed topic.
Well, and I think it's my purpose in life. I think my purpose is to make ritual every day, to make it easy, to make it like not this clouded thing that only the wooiest of woo people can do it. We talk about this is the mundane world where we live, where all the muggles are and all the, and we have to stop putting ourselves at these different levels. I am no different than anybody else here. And there's a hawk outside my window. I'm like, thank you. So I want people to understand that there is nobody that is better than you. There is nobody, we are all one. We are all just trying to put one foot in front of the other and get shit done. And if somebody teaches down to you or somebody doesn't make you feel like they're equal, then take that information, put it aside, and find the person that teaches to you that makes sense. Find the person that resonates with you, because if we're always trying, if I'm a teacher and I'm saying, well, I have reached nirvana and I am in this headspace that is just every day I connect to all my chakras and I cleanse all my energy and I'm up here and you're down here because you haven't done it yet, just put that.
Mm-hmm.
That is no longer the way that we should be communicating with each other. We need to see each other as energetic equals, because here's the other piece to this. All the knowledge that is inside of me is inside of you.
Yeah.
You haven't stepped into it yet. You haven't allowed yourself that space to be in ritual. You haven't allowed it to show up in your life yet. So just open arms and allow it to show up and just say, I'm looking for it, and it will show up.
Yeah, and it can show up in such a collaborative way. Like you were saying, we're all equal. None of us have it all figured out. We are all just moving forward on this journey they call life and figuring it out as we go. Like there is no right or wrong, no good or bad. We're all just figuring it out. And that's what totally just lights me up is this community, your community, like people that are doing this sort of stuff. And, this Sacred She Sisterhood logo memo is empowered women creating space together. And it's not just specific to women in our sisterhood, but it's that women, like the sharing of wisdom. It doesn't have to be a secret. Nobody's better than another. There's no gurus. It's just wisdom being shared among human beings on how can you actually awaken that within yourself at the end of the day.
Exactly. And knowing that it's there, knowing that it's already a piece of you. It's not something you have to achieve. It's something you just have to open up to, and that you have to be willing to receive. And to be honest, like today when I've had some rough days. This new moon energy has been intense. If you're in a relationship right now and you're doing this with somebody, or you're having friendship issues or anything to do with relationships, up to this energy that we're in right now, people have been showing you, this is what I'm like. Hey, guess what? I'm an asshole. what? And we've been ignoring it. But yesterday it showed up full force, and people fought, and people got stressed out, and people got overwhelmed. And today is the day to just let all that go, to stand in our power and allow ourselves to be who we truly need to be in this world. And like I said yesterday, I stumbled across a new healing modality that I feel like will push things. I'm always open to receiving new education. I'm always open to receiving new energy. And I think that's truly the space to be in. Just be open, because there is so much magic in this world, and it's free for everybody. There shouldn't, yes, I need to charge you for a stick of Palo Santo. And yes, if I'm doing a big long course, I need to charge for that because it's my time. But what's inside of you, what I'm going to teach you to bring out, is free. That piece is free. Yeah.
I love that. Before we wrap up, I've just been watching a few good comments come in. So let's just talk on those real quick, and then we can wrap up, because I want everyone to know where they can follow you and check out this course and everything. So we've got, love that. They're totally doing that today. Another gal has said, my friend just messaged me and said, is today a weird day for you too? You can cut the tension with a knife here. People are feeling it for sure. Yeah, I'm feeling the new moon energy super strong. And then we have one more question that popped in of, for someone super new to this, and we kind of touched on this, but what would be the best way for something that does work for, like, to find something that does work for them? Like, would it be trial and error is what they want to know? And I would say yes. What would your thoughts be?
Yeah, it's total trial and error, but I always tell people, start with a box of incense. Easiest way to clear your energy, simple. I think you can get these from anywhere from like $2 all the way up to $10, depending on how fancy you want your incense to be. You can also use like essential oils. Like I have this, it's almost empty. I made these. They're grounding and warming spray. Like when I'm feeling funky, like with this new moon energy, you want to be grounded. Use some essential oils to ground yourself. Anointing yourself with oils is ritual. So if you're using essential oils in your life, you're already doing ritual.
Love it.
Right? So,
yeah.
Smell is one of our strongest senses. It's the one that we're easily connected to because we've been using it our entire lives. Allow that to become a piece of the ritual.
This has been just so good. I'm like, I could just keep asking questions all day. We could just keep you on retainer here inside the Sacred She. But you're already online all the time doing all sorts of amazing stuff, and everything from being able to work with you to your shop to these courses. So where is it best for people to follow you? I'll make sure to link it up. And can you just tell us quickly about this course, and I can link that up as well?
Yeah. So I'm at emmasmallbone.com. Super simple. All my social media links are on there. If you're on Facebook, the group that I'm in, or like that I just opened up to the public, is Woo Culture. So WOO. And in there, I'm teaching this course, Ritual Without Rules, for 21 days for you to really get a sense of what you can bring in, because 21 days is the way to create a habit. And that's really what you want. You want to realize that this is simple. It's something that you can integrate into your life in a really simple way. And also that there are no rules. Do what you want to do. Do what feels right to you. And hopefully in some way, shape, or form, I can inspire you to bring more ritual into your life.
Amazing. I'm so excited for me to check that out and for our community to check it out and just poke around on Emma's website. I was in there yesterday checking it out, and there's just all sorts of amazing offerings, great free content, great things for and opportunities to work with you. Like there's just so much on there, and I'll link up your Facebook page and group because you do a lot of cool stuff in there as well. So definitely, ladies, connect with Emma. She's doing cool shit.
Well, thanks for having
me on. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on. Ladies, if you joined us live, we really appreciate it. If you're catching this on the replay or on the podcast, let us know that you were here. And we are so excited, and I can't wait till we do another chat together in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, have an amazing day. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Bye, guys.